my parents got me a drum kit, and thank God they were so cool about me play it's the worst instrument for a parent,
Yeah, yeah,
so
absolutely.
yeah, so I just started playing along with records, and then, this band Hair Club for Men formed, so I was in a
Yeah.
band now, and so that's kinda how I started.
What were you playing along to? What were some of those records?
Well, it's funny, the first record when I realized I could put headphones on and play along and,
Still here.
was Squeezing Out Sparks
Okay.
by Graham Parker and the Rumor.
Wow.
And I had this wild I've told this story before, but I think it's worth telling. So the Mountain Goats, this a band I play in,
Mhm.
we were doing this kind of residency at one of these what's it called? They have them all over the country now. It's a like a sit down seated club, and I'm spacing on the name. Um somebody will chime in. But anyway, so we were doing 3 nights at this place in New York, and during sound check on the final day, they brought these kids in to like ask us questions about being in a band and things.
Mhm.
And one kid asked me, that very question, what was the first record I played along with? And I told him it was this Graham Parker and the Rumor record. And um, so that was the final day of City Winery. That's what those clubs are called. The
Yeah, I
City
was gonna
Winery.
say the
Yes,
City
yes.
Winery. Yep.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yep.
So next day I'm leaving for the first show of a Bob Mould tour. And it was in Madison, Wisconsin. So I connected there in Chicago. And so I come out of my little, my into the waiting gate area off my plane. First two people I see standing there, Graham Parker and I'm spacing on his name, guitar player, Brinsley Swars, who
Oh,
played guitar in the
wow.
Rumor,
Yeah.
and
Brinsley.
I was so excited, I just
Yeah.
ran up to them and started talking. I just said, "Oh my god, the first record I ever played," and they're like, "Whoa!" And they're like, "Who are you? You look familiar." And I said, "I'm out there, but blah blah blah." And it,
Yeah.
it, it turned out they were at the Bob Mould show 2 days later at First Avenue.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, I guess they were playing, and it was the day Prince died. Oh, oh
Oh,
god,
yeah.
what a crazy day
That
that
was the
was.
worst. That was the worst. That
Oh
was
my
the
god.
worst day. I'm,
That was an oh yeah, God, but I will say that was an amazing night. We heard the news on the drive in from
Mhm.
Madison, and, um and we couldn't believe it, but then it was confirmed, so it was just me and Bob and Bob's partner, Don, and so, we're just listening to all these reports come in, and we
Yeah.
get there, and by chance, Bob's star at First Ave is right next to Prince's,
Yeah, it is.
so we were staying, like, 2 blocks away, and I wandered over, and there were already people, putting flowers down and, CNN's there, and that night, they must have just done this, on the fly. They put a show together
Yeah.
outside of First Ave, and I guess there was a lot of people that played, with him over the years, local people, and it was just amazing, and, like, every time I hear, what's the song? Da ba da da da, I wanna be your lover.
Yeah.
Like, that was blasting just in the city, like, it was crazy, all the lights were purple, like,
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
buildings, and
I couldn't go. Couldn't bring myself to do it. I should have.
it was so sad, but it was also like, "Wow, this is the importance of music."
Well, did you hear why they had permission to do that?
No, no.
Okay, well, this is a fun story. So, if Prince lore, Prince must have been 2007. He had the thing with seven. So it was 7707. He did at Macy's downtown. He played like a show. And then later that night, he played at the Target Center. And then later that night, he played at First Avenue. And the First Avenue show started late, and the cops broke it up because it was past bar close, and they shut the show down, which is
Wow.
insane. I'm like, come
So
on.
stupid.
So what they did, and this is kind of amazing in how it all panned out, is they put together legislature that said basically bar close is bar close unless we have the Prince rule. And
Wow!
the Prince rule was put into effect so that they could do that night outside. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened. But it was because they shut that Prince show down
Whoa!
and they had a Prince rule in Minneapolis. Isn't that
Oh,
funny?
oh my god. I always sympathize with people like Michael Bland, his drummer just like, "You have to play 3 shows a day
Yeah.
on that tour," from I mean, you're playing drums or whatever from 2 PM to 2 AM.
And it's not like bland hit soft. Like, I'm sure he's worn out.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god, so crazy.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy, but that's why that happened, so pretty cool, pretty cool.
That's tomorrow's rock and roll weirdness.
No, there you go. Yeah, I'm sure you could find some stories online about it too, but it's, so as a were you a Prince fan as a kid then? You sounds like it was early '80s, so it's probably prime or it's a little outside of your scope at that point.
Well, I was really into, like punk rock and new wave and stuff, but he was kind of in that too. He I liked I remember having Controversy as a kid
Yeah,
but I don't think I was aware of like the first record.
yeah.
But I remember yeah, really liking that and his videos were great too. And cuz so like I mean he was almost punk,
Yeah.
in his own way. So yeah, that kind of filtered in my world a little bit, but not a whole lot, but I totally, I appreciate it. And then I loved, all the hits that came too, and just his work ethic too is insane.
Yeah, and it's general weirdness.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you, have you played the Armory in Minneapolis? I can't remember if I've
No,
seen
but Bob Mould tells a story of I think Husker's opened for the Dead Kennedys there.
Okay. Yeah, because that's where the 1999 Prince video was shot too, yep. Yeah.
Wow, and I think they started having shows again there. Is that
Yeah,
correct? Or
great, and I was wondering because 'cause I've seen the Mountain Goats with you in it, and I couldn't remember
yeah,
if it was there, First Ave, or the Palace, but I think it might have been the Palace.
yeah, that's where we last played.
Gotcha. That was probably last time and I've seen you with Bob countless times,
Yeah.
but cool, cool. So, when did you leave that small town?
Well, it's an interesting story. I was 19. So this is early 86, I think like January of 86. And I was in a band that played in based in Philadelphia. I was still living at home in the farmlands and our band was called Psychotic Norman and we were like a weird it was like a weird cross between the Minutemen, the Fall, the Ramones, and some and our singer sounded like, the guy in Canned Heat who sings, "Going up the country, got to get a"
That's
um,
very specific voice.
Al Fisher, is that his name? Al something. Anyway, um, so that band was I felt like I was the only one in the band that had, like, a real work ethic, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
Yeah,
so
that happens.
the final straw I don't know how true this is, but my memory is that our bassist, whose house we practiced in, uh, had gone to New York to see the Replacements or something, and he didn't really come back in time to rehearse on Sunday at his own house. And so I was upset about that. And by chance that night, my brother called, and by this point, my older brother was on a track scholarship at Wake Forest University in
Nice.
Winston-Salem, NC. So and at this point, I loved all that North Carolina jangle stuff, Let's Active and the DBs and the REM
Yeah,
stuff. So
great
I
stuff.
yeah, so by chance, one of these bands who I liked, whose record I signed away for in high school, this band called The Right Profile. You've never heard of them. Although one of our main singers went on to co-write the Freakonomics book,
Whoa,
Stephen J. Dubner.
wow.
Yeah, so anyway, so he was in the band and, it was like a roots rock band. And my brother calls that night of the no-show at our practice in Philly and says, "The I saw these guys today," and he kinda knew them and said, "Their drummer just left, and
Mm.
would you wanna try out?" So I was like, "Yeah." Like, I'd like something more stable.
Yeah, that was your Dave Grohl moment.
Yeah,
Like, "Oh, falling apart at the right time."
yeah. So,
Yeah,
my dad gave me probably $100 to fly down and brother picked me up or a friend of his picked me up and went to the band house and at this point I'd only corresponded with them via writing.
yeah.
And we all hit it off. They were a little older than me and I tried out and I got in the band and 4 months later we're in Clive Davis's office at Arista and he signed us.
Whoa.